time, I'ma give it that pace. When it's just done, I'ma feel a breeze. Ooh, like Gilbert Arenas, shoot my shot, I'm still with the demons. Ooh, I keep it thorough. I got 5 chicks in New York, that means one in each borough. I'm in the pocket like Burrow. When I'm back home, no, they treat me like Robert De Niro. Took her to talk about butter and churro. Took her home. What's poppin'? Ask Us Sports Nation. I'm with my boy Viggy Betts, Kembo Slice, and we've got our very special guest, Joseph Haas, a.k.a. Jersey Haas on Twitter. And I'm super excited to have you, Joseph. How you doing tonight?
Much appreciated, gang. Good to join you. Can't wait to talk a little gambling Twitter, get a couple of plays out there. Let's talk some NFL. It's going to be a fun show tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. Ken, how's everything going with you tonight?
Oh, it's going good. Going good, Shane. Just got back from the great state of Maine. Was there over the long weekend and into this week. Pumped to have the show on a Wednesday night just in time for me to get back and ready to shoot the shit with you guys.
Absolutely. How was checking on the venue?
Oh, the venue. The check was good, man. You saw on there. We were checking on the venue. It was looking good, getting ready, getting pristine for next September. That's when I'm getting hitched, as you guys know by now. So, yeah, it was good to get back up there and make sure things were still in order, so to speak.
Mahoney and matrimony.
That's right. That's
love it.
Yeah, let's put that on a T-shirt. I like that.
Look at bagels.
Viggy, how we doing tonight?
Doing great as always, Shane. You know, I think we should switch to every Wednesdays, considering we have so much to talk about today. I love it.
Well, we'll have to talk about it moving forward, but to start our show off today, we have a little something special. Andy, what's going on? What's the Final Four you were talking about on Twitter?
Yeah, so Shane and I Shane chose his own Premier League team, and that's Chelsea. And, you know, I got into Premier League really a lot last year as the main sport to come back before everybody else during the pandemic. And
Right.
especially betting wise, was huge on the Premier League. So really got into it. So now I'm choosing my fandom for this season, and I've brought it down to 4 teams, not named Chelsea, because I don't want to, you know, overshadow my boy Shane there choosing the, you know, Champion League champions in Chelsea. So I'm going with my Final Four. I'm going with my Final Four, and that's going to be Arsenal. So all you Arsenal fans out there, they are in the Final Four. Leicester City is my number 2. Okay. Liverpool is my number 3. And shoot, who did I choose for my Final Four? My last one. Tottenham, that's right. Couldn't remember my last Final Four. But yeah, so those
they definitely have some young players. I think all 4 are really good choices. Obviously, you've got Raheem Sterling on Liverpool. You've got Saka on Arsenal. So you've got a few really good English players on your potential favorite team. I am very big Team England in the Euros this past month actually. So I'm excited to see who you pick next week.
I need all my Liverpool followers out there to give me an extra boost as to why I should choose Liverpool, because coming off their championship in 2019, they shit the bed for me in the betting community last year. When I picked them, it seemed like they always let me down. So give me a reason to back Liverpool. They're in my Final Four, but I need some convincing. Let's put it that way. So I will be unveiling my choosing team next week. I will put a hat on my head similar to Shane as to the team I will be going for moving forward. So stay tuned.
It's like
it'll be like me. It'll be like a recruit choosing the school.
Yeah.
Oh wow, there you go.
The decision
don't make your mama cry.
Part 2.
Don't make your mama cry on this one. Don't make your mama cry on this
one. So moving on, let's go ahead and get into some Aaron Rodgers news. There's some back and forth on if he would retire. The sports books ended up closing a lot of NFC North prop bets in general, because everyone was saying that Rodgers could retire. Joseph, if I'm not mistaken, you may have had a small beat on this.
Did you seriously think he might have retired, or did you think that this was always a scheme to get more control on the Packers?
I had a feeling about the retirement only because of the other prospects he's got going on. Aaron Rodgers right now he's not just quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. He's a celebrity. How many people get that right now? Sorry, I've got to compare him to another quarterback, probably lesser of a resume NFL wise, but he's in that, he's in that Romo area, right? I'm going to leave the NFL and I'm going to have any job that I want. Right now, what was available to him is hosting Jeopardy. Okay, there was a lot of buzz online having him there. He stood out real well. I really thought that we would hear more about this at the end of this week because Jeopardy is trying out LeVar Burton this week and wanting to see what the fanfare and buzz was about that. So I thought maybe Aaron Rodgers would be holding out just a little bit longer to see what the temperature was around this LeVar Burton hosting situation. And if it was where it was and Jeopardy still wants him, this may be the great stepping stone. How many times do you get to hand your career off from Hall of Fame quarterback to legendary TV personality first day? Okay. Jeopardy is one of those shows that's in every household. One of the things that a LeVar Burton does have over an Aaron Rodgers is the fan base may not know him as well as they remember LeVar Burton from his many different characters, a little Star Trek action back in the day, remembering him from Reading Rainbow. So he may resonate more with a little bit of the fan base that will be watching Jeopardy now. Give it a few years. It'll be Aaron Rodgers' fan base. But right now, Aaron still feels like he can play. He's let everybody know that's what he's got. He's got an arm. I've seen a few Tom Brady videos. I'm waiting to see if Aaron Rodgers throws a football back into one of those little phone he hasn't come back. We've all seen that. That was amazing. Aaron Rodgers, I pass it to you on that one.
Well, just to mention, LeVar Burton, Reading Rainbow, GOAT. I love LeVar Burton, and I've said that he should be the Jeopardy host from the very beginning. I'm a big LeVar Burton guy. Him getting tried out on Jeopardy, he should be the main host. That's my pick.
I hear you. Wheel of Fortune might not be that far around the corner. I mean, Pat and Vanna. I mean, who are you pairing up? I mean, Aaron Rodgers, very beautiful, very famous wife. Why wouldn't that be something you do? That little, instead of having two people who aren't, how about two people who are? And have that back and forth in Wheel of Fortune that we're so used to seeing.
Yeah, or Danica Patrick and make it like a war. Andy, what are your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers? Do you think he made the right decision to come back? And what are your feelings about him strong-arming the franchise into getting Randall Cobb?
Selfishly, I'm happy he's back. My primary dynasty league, he's my quarterback. I had to adjust my whole offseason in case he retired because I didn't have anybody after him, drafting Trevor Lawrence in my first pick. But no, I think it's great for the league that he's back, at least for this season. Back in Green Bay, now being the only quarterback ever to play 17 seasons with the Green Bay Packers. Remember, Brett Favre and Bart Starr both played 16 seasons with the franchise. So now Aaron Rodgers has kind of his own standalone legacy with the team, if you will. Hoping for him that he can get past the NFC Championship game. It seems like that's kind of been the barrier for him over the last few years. With tough losses, 2 or 3, I think, that come to mind over the last few years, only having that one Lombardi ring. I think they're in prime position to potentially get past that NFC Championship game and get to the Super Bowl. And that would be a big deal, especially if he were to win, meaning that he would surpass Brett Favre with most Super Bowl championships with the franchise. I think that's a big deal to him. Even though what we've seen from this offseason, I think he does care about winning. I think he just wanted a bit more input. I think there were a couple moves that were made that the franchise didn't really consult with him, including hiring the head coach a couple years ago and a couple other players that he liked personally on the roster that got cut. And he said, whoa, why didn't you consult with me? I think he would have been better if he would have stayed. So I think he just wanted a little bit more input into the roster decisions, and I don't know if that's going to happen moving forward, considering that this could be his final year with the franchise. But, we did see Randall Cobb come back. I think that pleased him a lot. But is Randall Cobb – I mean, come on now. I mean, Randall Cobb was talented in Green Bay, and maybe he can get back to that playing level that he had in Green Bay. But I mean, we saw him in Houston and I believe Dallas, and just wasn't the same. So maybe Aaron Rodgers can, reclamate his career. But we'll see. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, I think, has a lot of pressure under him this year. All this wanting input and, doing what he did this offseason. If he doesn't win a Super Bowl, it's definitely Super Bowl or bust for him, for sure. So we'll see.
I want to interject what he's added. I want to interject what he brings is not only, Aaron Rodgers and I'm your starting quarterback, but Aaron Rodgers, that GM that brings free agents back to the team. I like Randall Cobb.
Little audio trouble there, Jersey. Little audio trouble there.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Can we hear him?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You're good.
Okay, good.
The mic is
I wanted to talk about not just Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback, starting quarterback for the Green Bay, but also the free agent, kind of going out there and acquiring guys. You want Cobb back, you got him back. Watch McGuire, right tackle, supposedly going to Kansas City, and now making his way over to Green Bay. That's 2 days. Let's see what else Aaron Rodgers can bring back. We know full well he's only going to be there for a couple of years. This is going to be the swan song. He wants his freedom after this. Is it possible that he does what Tom Brady is doing now, finding himself as best fit his last couple of years of his career? That might be what he's setting himself up for, and not setting up potential free agents for failure. But let him know right away what he's about. He's here for a couple of years. Who's coming with me? And I think he's going to set up a potential team. One roadblock I think he's seen his way, and we'll get more into the division play as we go. Even though you don't win the divisions, doesn't mean you can't win your conference and go to the Super Bowl. So listen to my picks later and see why I'm going both ways on Tampa Bay.
Absolutely. Ken, I saved the best for last. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on Rodgers. I know you're not a fan.
I never have been, but I've never have been the biggest Aaron Rodgers supporter out there. But last week Andy kind of when we were talking about him looking to retire, and Vegas was predicting it, and it was kind of throwing the betting world into a flux. It kind of jogged my memory of 3 short months ago when we did our very first show, and I didn't really think Aaron wanted to play football at that time, and I'm still not totally convinced that he does want to play football. And Joseph has kind of alluded to it quite a bit that he loved hosting Jeopardy. I do think he wants to host Jeopardy at the end of the day, and I don't believe that he has that killer instinct and that drive that will allow him to sort of run the Green Bay Packers the same way that you have seen like the likes of Tom Brady sort of take the reins in Tampa Bay. And, Tom Brady brought in Antonio Brown, and Tom Brady has brought in some like Gronk, for example, and Aaron Rodgers is out here sort of slinging his weight around and bringing in, let's say, Randall Cobb, who, Randall Cobb did have his day with Green Bay and was certainly a favorite of Aaron's, so that makes sense as to why Aaron would want him back. But is Aaron Rodgers, is Randall Cobb going to make that much of a difference in the grand scheme of things? There's quite a few receivers on this team. It's a very, very loaded depth core at receiver. Adams, I think Funchess, Cobb, MVS, Lazard, St. Brown, and then, Tanya, obviously a tight end. I don't think Randall Cobb's going to make too much of a difference. It sort of strikes me as the type of thing where he wanted to bring in his guy. He wants to be more involved in these personnel decisions. And, I still don't think at the end of the day he wants to be in Green Bay, and I don't think he likes his head coach, and I don't think he's very happy with this organization. But if this organization is willing to pay him and give him a little bit of say in decision-making, that might go a long way. You never know. I still don't expect him to be on Green Bay after this year. I still think he wants to go into that limelight, take on that John Cena role, so to speak, and get into Hollywood. Is kind of how I liken it to. But that's not going to happen this year. Apparently, he's shown up. His best receivers now complaining, so it's been a hell of a stretch for the Packers. Now they have a receiver who's demanding to be paid as the best receiver in the game, on top of now them paying paying somebody as if they are the best quarterback in the game. It's going to get pricey. It's going to get pricey up in Wisconsin.
I know Devontae Adams is happy that Aaron Rodgers is back, so he can have one more season of stud-like numbers, and then both of them go to a different team.
Yeah. Speaking of Devontae Adams, Derek Carr wants him in Oakland, or Las Vegas. So that should be interesting at the end of the year to see what happens with that. I think Devontae with Aaron Rodgers back is happy for this year, but I'd love to see them reunite like they did in college. Moving on, we've got some early training camp reports. Of course, I had Andy in my text today talking about Jalen Hurts. So I had to rebuttal with a little Tua talk. Tua throwing.
Conveniently, that worked out for you, Shane, because Jalen Hurts' tweet was first.
Okay, yeah, but it probably happened first. Tua's practice was later.
I joked with you and said that Albert Wilson was moved to defense.
Yeah. Oh, so funny. So funny. But yeah, I've also heard there's also a tweet that came out that said Henry Ruggs put on 15 pounds of muscle. So he's looking to have a good sophomore season. Do you see Henry Ruggs making a comeback, Ken? Making a good second year?
With Ruggs? I don't know if you usually like that with the gaining pounds and for a speed receiver like Henry Ruggs. Typically, that's not something that would excite me. I guess it depends if he's willing to adjust sort of the way he plays, because that's what's going to come with such a change to his body. He'll have
to
to
stay healthy. Ken. That could be a
that's
benefit.
true.
We'll say.
Yeah, I mean that's true. And then the Raiders are gonna be slinging the ball some more, and I think taking some of the workload off of Josh Jacobs. So, and there's not much else there. So I could see Ruggs having certainly some more. I hate beefcakes at receivers. I mean, I'm typically not the type of guy who wants to see his receiver putting on 15 pounds of muscle when that receiver is typically somebody I'm going to have running.
He said he wants to be more of a playmaker.
Yeah, so. I get that, but we'll see if he can make that type of adjustment. I'm not a believer really, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to say, I have a bit more optimistic tone about that. Like I said, I think it could help him stay healthy. I'm hoping that's the case for him anyways, because, we had a stacked group of receivers last year, rookie receivers last year. And if he would have stayed healthy, I think he would have been at the top of the list.
I'm a big Henry Ruggs fan. So I think I still think I have a lot of hope for him and Judy. I think the two Alabama boys are solid receivers. Judy's had rave reviews out of camp. Again, he's going to have Drew Lock for whatever that's worth throwing to him again this year. So we'll see how it goes. Jersey, what are you thinking? You think Henry Ruggs has a big second year?
What I'm looking for, and I love that you brought the Alabama wide receivers, because I'm thinking about all of them, actually. I'm thinking about all three of them having themselves outstanding years. When you think back, and we can all kind of picture that picture that goes around with the three of them formerly on Alabama and the three of them all on pro teams right now, looking at how offenses have been throwing the ball, how can you not look at your big stud wide receiver, give this guy some space, give him the opportunity to make some plays, give him a chance to make your quarterback better? I like the opportunity for Ruggs this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a big Judy guy too, so I'm excited to see what he can do in the second year. I'm pretty heavily invested in him card-wise, so I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what he can do.
Don't let that rule your fandom, buddy.
Oh, right now it does.
And play responsibly.
It does.
Why do you think he's a Chelsea fan?
There you go.
Oh my God, Ken, Team USA. Do we think they have a lot of heart?
I kind of take the mindset of that these guys, I think, are probably pretty worn out. They've played a lot of basketball, and I think they've played probably too much basketball. It's just something we sort of said last week. Yeah. Oh, we're falling in love with it. All right. That's for sure. But no, I mean, the last year and a half, these guys have played like 2 seasons of basketball and now an Olympic series. So I think they're cashed out. I think they're worn out. And I don't think their heart is necessarily fully in it after what they've gone through with 2 straight NBA seasons. Part of me does suspect that KD might have gone here for recruitment purposes. That's been sort of my tinfoil hat theory behind the whole thing. I do think he likes the idea of let's chat it up with Damian Lillard and Bradley Beal and guys like that and see if I can make any magic happen, because maybe he's not so sure about Kyrie Irving anymore or James Harden anymore. As far as the Olympic team go, and this was something we were talking about, Shane, I would like to see an Olympic team that's not NBA talent. Maybe the best college players in the world. Even if there's a G League kid that qualifies, but I'm thinking more along the lines of the best college athletes that haven't necessarily made their buck yet, so to speak, and haven't made their name and are still looking to grow and grab that limelight. Those are guys who are going to have the drive to play and the pride to represent their country and really want to bring this thing home and see what it can do for them when they get back to the States and see what it does for their draft stock and their draft appeal. So that's something I kind of think would be interesting to see. I doubt it will ever happen, but we see it in baseball, we see it in soccer. I don't see why we couldn't see it in basketball too. We certainly don't.
Add on that, actually, now that college players can be paid, do you think it'd be advantageous to maybe throw them a little money to get them to come compete at the Olympics or a FIBA championship?
I mean, I think it could do the opposite. I think it's a way of motivating them to play more basketball without having to put money in their pocket. I think the money in the pocket thing is going to be interesting to see. I think we're still going to learn a lot more about that as we go. It's a dangerous, slippery slope. I mean, you don't want these guys to cash out in college. I think you've probably seen a lot of examples of guys who probably would have burned down in college before they ever made the pros. And maybe that's going to go up a lot more now. Whereas they weren't as likely to do that because they hadn't gotten paid yet. With money comes great responsibility, right? So, putting a lot of money in the hands of these kids that might not be ready for it, it's could be dangerous.
So this is kind of getting down to a different topic, Jersey. To kind of parlay off what Ken's saying about college players making money. I read a report saying Bush would have been a millionaire before he made it to the pros. If he were allowed to make money off his name in college. Do you think that would have destroyed college sports as we know it if he was allowed to make money back then?
Well, saying destroy college sports, that's large, because think about other sidelines. Think of the other players that played around the time he did. Don't you think they also would have been able to at least excel off their name? Some of them having their greatest moments in college and not in the pros. We can all go back to a Vince Young, we can all know who I'm kind of hinting at. People like that. Don't you think Vince Young would have loved to have made as much money off of himself his last year at Texas, going up against USC? Don't you think Mark Sanchez would have wanted to make a lot of money off of himself playing at USC? Do you think this would have destroyed them? Mark Sanchez going to 2 straight AFC championship games and becoming the Mark Sanchez we all saw at USC. Wasn't really that great, got a little money, had a great team around him. And when that wasn't there, it showed itself. So the good players are going to be good. Are you going to take yards away from Reggie Bush because he made a little money in college? Technically speaking, he made a little money in college. Went on and was a pro. I'm just saying. He actually did it and then went on and did it again. So, there are players out there that we don't know if they made the money or not. Come on, the Fab Five. Do we think they, are they going to put those banners back up? Are they going to give Reggie Bush his Heisman? We can't rewrite history. The rules were the rules when the rules were. The rules were the rules when the rules were. So we're going to go forward. I like the fact that these young college kids, high school prep, going into your first year of college, have an opportunity to see what this landscape is about. Understand what you're getting into. Guess what? True. This could also have the opposite effect. Mm-hmm. This could make some of these students take the opportunity of the free education they're being given and maximize on that. Yeah. if I'm going to be there for this 1 year, how about I maximize on this? Or how about universities and colleges? Now that you have these financial institutions within your financial institutions, why don't you set up coursework around these students to help them maximize themselves? How about some financial planning courses in the first year, making sure that these players aren't just playing for you like they always have, but you're both playing for each other. You're two institutions working for each other.
Yes.
I like
this could be a good thing.
Love it. Yeah. No, that's great.
I'm definitely on it, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm anti Reggie Bush. I'm a big proponent that Bush should get his Heisman back. He's the best player I've ever seen play in college, and probably my second favorite player in college besides Johnny Manziel, who would have made a boatload of money as well off his name. So,
wow. You get a little. I'm gonna throw gray hair in the mix and throw Bo Jackson doesn't get a.
Ooh.
Wow, I'm just throwing Bo out there. I'm not even going deep. I'm just throwing Bo out there.
Too old for Shane.
I would take if you put Bo Jackson and Reggie Bush prime. There's absolutely no way I wouldn't take Bo Jackson. And then I didn't even say Herschel Walker. And then I didn't even say them running backs back then were made. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a different breed. Bo Jackson was a different breed for sure.
I got you.
But moving on, Andy, Biggie Betts, what's going on?
Well, Shane, I hear you're trying to upstage me tonight with my NRFI, but let me just go down first here and say the NRFI is back, ladies and gentlemen. Over the All-Star break and last week, I perfected kind of the statistics that I review for an NRFI, but I tightened it up. And I tightened it up more so that if it doesn't meet the criteria, I'm not saying, well, it could work. I could see this happening, so I'm still going to do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and I'm not playing it. It's all about the chart. It's all about what the Google Sheets says. If my criteria says to play it, I'm playing it. If not, I'm not playing it. So far, 4-0 on the new criteria. We've won 4 in a row. Looking for 5 tonight with the Dodgers and the Giants. Hopefully, I use the YRFI kind of as an opposite tool. So, and by doing these charts, I look at it and say, wow. So this is the complete opposite of what I'm trying to get for an NRFI. This is going to be a YRFI play. So again, it kind of works both ways. I can't give out what that formula is because it's a secret recipe that I've delved up. That's the whole point of it. So hopefully we continue to see success with it. And, it's just all about tinkering at this point. If we get into a little bit of a rut, I can tinker it a little bit and we'll get right back on track. So I feel like the numbers are there. My chart is there. I have faith in it. And we're going to make a lot of money here in the second half of the baseball season. So I'm pretty excited about it. Shane, I know you have some words for NRFI Nation.
Yeah, so I'm going to get on my soapbox for just a second.
Remember, over under 13 and a half cuss words.
I do. I'm a big fan of Troy Hermo on Twitter. He is going through some personal matters. He has cancer. We all know that. Everyone that follows him knows that. But when you've got people, assholes, fuckheads, that are just they're gonna comment and tell him, message him, call him fat, worthless, tell him his picks are shit. He's giving all of those picks away for free. You guys are fucking assholes. He's giving those picks away for free. He's not asking for any money. All you fucking nerds that just take his picks and run with them and don't even tip him after he gives you a winning night, and then the next night you come out and you call him worthless, you call him a fat ass, you tell him he's not worth shit, but he just gave you all those free picks and won you shit tons of money. And you're just going to do this? It just makes no sense to me. In NRFI Nation, you guys are a bunch of losers. I'm sorry. I fucking hate you. I see all the fucking shit that you say to this guy. It's got to be daily that he posts this hate mail that he gets. And usually his picks are wins. Usually he comes out positive on all his picks. And Troy and I talked personally a little bit. I do respect him a lot for what he does and what he's gone through and how strong he's been and all the fighting he's done. So it kind of upsets it. Well, it does upset me a lot that people would just go out of their way to be so hateful when he's providing a service to people for free. He could be like the rest of these guys and put all of his picks behind a paywall. It's just like Andy. I have a ton of respect for Andy for putting all of these picks out for free. He charges nothing. If you want to tip him, you can, but if not, he doesn't say a word about it. I commend him for that because a lot of these big bet sites, Twitter handles, put all of their picks behind paywalls. They may give one free pick here and there, but it's pretty far and few between. So the fact that these NRFI losers, I won't even call them NRFI Nation anymore. It's all NRFI losers. Just want to hate and just spew hate when there's already so much hate in this world.
So you're referring to multiple. You're referring to like a large group here. Like this is multiple individuals.
NRFI Civil War. I mean,
I'm calling it. Come! I hope all of them are in my mentions tonight.
All right.
Any of these guys that listen, if you're one of the people that are nice and you're encouraging and you spread positivity, this isn't towards you at all. This is all towards the dickheads, the fuckers that just message, just hate, just pure hate. It makes no sense. I see that when I see Andy get trolled, he's like a little brother to me. I freak out and I go ham on him.
Even though I'm the big brother.
Ask Ken, I'm the best Twitter sleuth around. I'll find out everything about you. So
that's true. I can personally
that is actually true.
Yeah.
So if you don't want a bad day, don't fuck with my boys. They're all like my family to me. But just take it easy, guys. Like all these picks are free. They're all just vibing, trying to spread positivity. And then if you lose some money, maybe you shouldn't have been betting because that's the risk you take when you bet, right?
Only bet what you can
afford to lose.
Exactly.
And if you can't afford to lose, however much your one unit is, you shouldn't have been betting. And that's the risk you take when you bet. Nothing's a sure winner. Andy, that's my soapbox.
So what was the count, Ken? How many cuss words did you count?
I think we're still slightly under, but I lost count at like 10.
Well, we still have the rest of the show.
Yeah,
this wasn't
true.
For just this segment. This was just for this show. So I'm at 10.
Bagels is my financial wizard. He might have a count for us. So
yeah, maybe Bagels is counting for us, but I counted 10. So we're right there on the under. For those who have plus money, I'd be sweating it a little bit. On the under, there's still about an hour left in the show, so 4 more cuss words and the over wins at -175. That was my I was the book for this one because I knew it was coming. So I my 2 plays for tonight, one NRFI, and I love NRFI Nation, but I completely agree with Shane. It's uncalled for those who are going after. Not just, myself. I'm lucky. I'm not dealing with what Troy is dealing with. Troy's the man. I love him to death. But yeah, he is dealing with a lot and he doesn't need any of that. Nobody needs any of that. We're all trying to spread positivity and we're doing this for fun. Of course we want to win, but I'm trying to grow my account. Troy's trying to grow his. Everybody else is trying to grow a bunch, grow their accounts. I'm in with a lot of people, a lot of direct message groups. So we all do it. We all try to spread the love and the cheer. So I'm with you, Shane. But my NRFI play for tonight is the Dodgers and the Giants. And my YRFI play is the Rockies and the Angels. So one of each.
Joseph, I heard you had a big parlay victory.
You did.
What was that about? What you bet and how much you win?
Oh, okay. Everybody's units is everybody's units. I like to play for a little small change here or there, but I love making sure that I get the picks right. So getting the number up to a plus 1,000, plus 2,000. What was it? 2179 there was the number. Not bad there. A couple of home run hitters that I thought were going to be swinging the bat well. They did that for me. I got a little love from a little YRFI love there from Biggie. He put me in the right directions there with that first inning. I said, you know what? This is the kind of game where I'm feeling not only am I going to get that, but I feel like I'm going to get that win. So I paired that up there. Got that first inning score and the W. I really boosted the parlay. So a couple home run hitters. Juan Soto helping me out. And a late night dinger from Fernando Tatis Jr. helped this three pick parlay. score for the man here. So we'll have one for you guys by the end of the show as well.
Yeah, you're better at these parlays than I am, Jersey. I mean, you've shown me, 2 or 3 already since we reacclimated ourselves in probably the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I might need to get in on some of that with you.
No worries.
What's your place for tonight?
Got a little interesting one here. I'll throw a little something out there. I'm not baseball, okay? You got to diversify, people. So I thought I'd diversify a little, okay? Let's start with some Gold Cup action. Qatar versus USA, all right? Both teams to score here, -105. Come on now, -105. I'll take that. Both teams are going to score. Qatar very undervalued here, okay? So I'm taking that. Let's go to hoops. Well, I've been thrilled by Nigeria, right? Obviously not the book. What are you talking about here? How are you going to – okay, so they're getting +7.5. That's not bad if you like -115. If you're going to be with me, go money line, +190. Okay, that's your second pick on his 3-pick parlay. Last but not least, how can you count the women as least? Are you kidding me? Canada versus Brazil. Okay, you got to get up early for some of these, okay? But the women, both teams to score, definitely. Okay, +105. Put this parlay together, +1060. Have yourself a good time. Don't forget to play responsibly.
I like it. Those are some great picks. Andy, I need to know. Oklahoma and Texas joining USC. How's it affecting you in the betting markets?
Man, does that shake things up big time or what? I mean, it just provides more competition for like Alabama and LSU and Georgia. I mean, you're throwing Oklahoma, you're throwing Texas, 2 of the biggest name teams from the Big 12 into the SEC. I'm not sure completely how they're doing the realignment. Are they doing 3 divisions of 4 teams? Because I think it's at least 12 teams now, or is it 16 teams or something in the SEC. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. I think it definitely impacts the betting market. We'll see as we get closer into the season. But I'll tell you what, we are going to have some dynamite matchups this season. With Oklahoma and Texas joining. I'm going to be having a lot of fun betting those.
Horns down? Andy, horns down?
What do you
Horns down?
You don't know what I mean? Horns down here, buddy. Horns down. I hear they're going to be admonishing, punishing athletes if they give the thumbs down to other athletes. But you can, horns down to the crowd. So horns down to the crowd. No other athletes.
Yep. After further review, Bagels went over the video again. 14 cuss words in that rant. So the over.
Ooh, got the over.
Ooh, the over wins. -175. You had to pay some juice for that, though. I tried to make it worth betting.
It was still even at -175 the value. My goodness.
I mean, he led off with 2 or 3. You got to put that power at the top of the lineup.
I thought about going up to like 18 or 19, but I was like, I wanted to go either way. So,
well, speaking of power in the lineup, Ken, I'm coming to you on this one. We're switching gears to MLB. Nelson Cruz got traded to the Rays in the past week. I know you and I have talked a lot of Rays since the shows began. So how much do you love the Nelson Cruz move? Do you love it as much as me, or are you still on the fence about it?
I do love it actually for them a lot, quite a bit. They needed to add this type of bat. And when I say this type of bat, I think he really kind of steps in and be probably the best bat in that lineup, frankly. Or if not in the top 2 or 3, I don't make an argument really that he's not the best bat in that lineup. There's no real downside here for Tampa. They traded away their 17th and 18th best prospects, which I don't think they're going to worry about that. They're really trying to make a run this year, and they really needed that big middle of the order bat. I think the only downside here is that they lose a little bit of versatility and flexibility with their lineup, which they will I think overcome with no issue. Nelson Cruz is going to be locked into DH, and I believe Austin Meadows has been occupying DH most of the time, so that will certainly no longer be happening. He'll probably shift out to left with Arozarena going to right. and you'll probably have to see Kiermaier or Margot hit the bench every other game or so. So all around, I think that's a really good move. I think that gives you 4 really solid outfielders, and then Cruz at the DH spot. So really good move for them.
Yeah, I love the move personally. I know Andy's a big Nelson Cruz guy.
I've been for a long time.
MLB 2K.
Yep, long time.
He's so underrated too. Still underrated.
That's always been the case.
Yeah, as old as he is very underrated. And I think adding him to a team like the Rays that play in the Trop, it couldn't get better. I mean, that bat is just – I love Nelson Cruz. I think that's a World Series type of move.
I see him being 50 years old and still smashing 30 to 40 homers.
He's going to have to wait to get to 50 years old to be a Hall of Fame candidate here. I mean, he's one of those that's on the edge. Some people give him more respect than others. You know, I feel he's a good player, Hall of Fame caliber. How are you feeling? Does he need one? Does he need this championship? Does he need to, latch on with a team that could win the championship and solidify that? Or is he going to be somebody that we look at and go, wow, almost?
I think as we know, home run total.
Baseball's a number sport. Yeah, 438 career home runs. It's funny because you look at him, and Nelson Cruz was kind of a late bloomer. I mean, he came up in 2005 with the Brewers and then went over to Texas, spent his first 3 years there combined for 22 home runs and probably a season's worth of games. And then in his age 28 season in 2009, smashed 33 home runs and then has been a perennial 20 to 30, 40 home run guy ever since. So again, I just think that, he's perfect in the American League. Hopefully the National League adopts DH next year and he'll, have more opportunities. Like I said, I think he could be 50, 55 years old, smashing 30, 40 homers in this league. He's just that good.
Imagine if Nelson Cruz stayed on the Brewers and was on that playoff team with Ryan Braun, Fielder, and CC Sabathia. And how crazy that team would have been. That would have been Mashers.
Yeah, he's been around.
But talking about Mashers, Jersey, I'm coming to you on this. Right before the show started, Gallo got traded to the Yankees from the Rangers. What are your thoughts on that? Do the Yankees now have the biggest boom or bust lineup in the league, strikeout or home run?
Big bat, definitely necessary. Did they have to give up anything in return? I know this one just hit the wire. How much did they have to give up in return? If they didn't lose any of their
no, I think that Clark Schmidt rumor was actually false. I don't see him actually included in the deal. I see Estevan Florial, who's the number 15.
So prospects only. Yankees are great at that.
I think the number 15 might have been
Trevor Halver, Glenn Otto, Ezekiel Duran, Everson Pereira, and Randy Vasquez.
Okay, so the Yankees are great at this. We'll give you our overblown prospects for your power hitter. I think I've seen this. This is cycle every few years now. Anytime they need a little push, we'll give you our overblown prospects for your power hitter. So another great deal there by Cashman.
Yankees 3 games out of the second wild card spot in the American League. Shane,
I saw a question going around. Do the Yankees make the postseason? Yes or no? I mean, I believe it's even. I think it's even money, to be honest.
I'm still out on them, to be honest. I would probably say no. I think they're out. I think the Rays and the Red Sox are going to have it, to be honest with you. And I don't see 3 teams in the division making it. Which
especially when you have the Oakland Athletics and even the Seattle Mariners are making a push for that second wild card spot. The A's have it currently, but the Mariners, after losing today, are now 2 games back of that second spot. And
you're going to see the A's make a run for sure, and the Astros are
I
already
think all the trade really does is it makes at least the second wild card race interesting, right?
Yeah.
The Yankees are going to at least make it interesting. And now that I know the Yankees didn't give up Clark Schmidt, I think this is a pretty solid deal because Gallo's just a rental. They could re-sign him in the offseason, or he could end up going out west where he ultimately wanted to go anyways. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes, but I think it's at least interesting. And like Ken and Viggy alluded, the Mariners and Athletics are both players for the second wild card. So it'll be interesting down the road, and I'm interested to see where Barrios lands as well.
And the Athletics acquired Starling Marte as well earlier today. So, Well, for Luzardo, I like Luzardo a lot.
Well, I mean, they're not paying anything though.
No, I'm saying, yeah, but I'm saying I think he would be. I think he's a strong addition for Miami. But for this year, that's exactly what the A's needed, was another bat. He's not going to hit you 20, 30 home runs, but he's a 300 average guy, can get on base, kind of be a catalyst for Matt Olson and Matt Chapman and whatnot. I think it's a great move.
He's a great number 2 hitter. He's a 300 bat who has an outside shot at 20/20 most of the time. And yeah, he's a rental. But Miami's paying for him, so they're really renting him for free. They gave up Luzardo, who it looks like they totally have given up on, frankly, for the trade to even happen. It's an unorthodox trade.
Yeah, they sent him down to the minor leagues earlier.
Yeah. But really good for Miami. I mean, they pick up a pitcher who was at one point very coveted, and they have done very well with developing arms in their system, so I wouldn't bet against them, especially being in the NL. So I think that was a fun trade. That was a good trade.
Think about what that rotation could be next year. It could be Sixto Sanchez. Remember him? Kind of dazzled last year, season-ending injury this year. If he comes back healthy, you have him. You have Trevor Rodgers. You have Pablo Lopez. In Luzardo now. So, in Sandy Alcantara. So, they have a really strong potential rotation. So, I think it was a great deal for Miami. I think that's a very underrated aspect of this deal. Of course, the here and now is Oakland. But
moving on to another deal that happened earlier in the week, Ken. Real quick, the reason Gallo to the Padres fell apart, from what I'm reading, is the Rangers didn't want to take Hosmer's contract. And the Padres are trying to get rid of Hosmer because of their acquisition of Adam Frazier earlier in the week. Ken, first question, do you think Hosmer gets moved? Second question, do you think Frazier being added to that lineup makes a lot of sense?
No, I don't think there's any need to move Hosmer unless they bring in another talent. I think Hosmer was part of an upgrade process that now is probably lost without Gallo on the market. I guess if you want to try and get really fancy and figure out a way to pull Chris Bryant in and put him somewhere that's going to make sense with that lineup, you could try. But I still don't think it's feasible because I don't think the Cubs are going to want to take Hosmer. I don't think anyone is going to. I think they're stuck with him, and I think they're obviously going to play Adam Frazier. He was just an all-star, and I think the need or the want for Gallo was really to sort of upgrade Hosmer to Gallo, which would give you, in my opinion, a better fit for what that lineup needs, which is a power bat, a true power bat, a true masher, so to speak. But don't sleep on Adam Frazier. You can put him at the top of the lineup. He's a fantastic bat. He's. I read something interesting that everybody salivates over launch angle, and his launch angle is just behind Aaron Judge, who is typically in the league leader in terms of what he does with that. So it's a great depth add. This is not a guy who's going to have his exit velocity up. I saw he's actually 132nd out of 136 eligible bats. So not the type of guy who's going to be shredding the ball, but he does have some pop. He does sort of have that trendsetter type of approach. Think of him he could be like a mini Starling Marte, I guess, if you think about it, in terms of what he'll do with the bat. But it's a good ad for San Diego. Probably not who they really wanted, but it was someone that they could get without really breaking the bank, and it does address a need. And, I think now the other situation that they're sort of stuck with is if they want to upgrade further, they have a logjam. And I guess Hosmer is the odd man out. But at the same time, you're gonna have a hard time getting somebody to take that on and still acquiring something of value.
He's the odd man out because of Jake Cronenworth. He can play first base. So True. If you put Cronenworth at first base and you put Adam Frazier at second, then you have Tatis at short and Manny at third. Man, that's really good. Cronenworth, a 280 hitter with 13 homers. He's this really solid player, and he's younger. So, Hosmer, I think, only has 8 or 9 homers on the season, trying to avoid the luxury tax. It's tough sledding for them to find a taker for Hosmer. I'm wondering, would Kansas City like to reunite? I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's the only team I can think of right now. Hosmer, I think, has kind of just lost his way in San Diego playing in that ballpark. Maybe put him on a different team, a different scenario, a different ballpark for 81 games. Maybe.
Well, it's just crazy to think at the beginning of the year, Hosmer was on that tear for like the first 5 games where he hit a homer every game.
Yeah.
So, and now he's just kind of lost a little bit of the power, but that's to be expected playing in such a big park like Petco. So I mean, if he does get traded, I really think it's maybe in a Max Scherzer deal. If Max decides, they decide to make a move for Scherzer, which is a possibility. I've heard that the deal could get done as soon as tonight. So
they're going to have to throw in a Jeter Downs or something if they're going to do something like this. I mean,
they're going to have to make it enticing for the totally. It's almost like when the Braves had to trade BJ Upton to be. Remember when the BJ Upton was such an awful
feel like
free.
CJ Abrams would have to be the player going back from the Padres for Scherzer.
I said Jeter Downs. That's what I meant. Sorry.
But I mean, if the Red Sox wanted Scherzer, I think Jeter Downs.
Agreed. Yeah. If not Duran, depending on what they're asking for.
So earlier today, Ken, I did a little research regarding the Red Sox. So I think Jeter Downs should be moved, and this is why. You've got Nick York, who's 19, that's playing in Salem right now. He's hitting .293 with 3 homers, 28 RBIs, 10 steals. So that's check one for Bloom. Made a good pick in the first round, right? His second round pick, Blaze Jordan, just started in the FCL. He's already got 3 homers, 18 RBIs, and he's hitting over 300. Now you've got Mayer that we just drafted number 4 overall, who's going to start in the FCL within the next week because he just signed his contract. So we're going to have a logjam in the middle infield, right? Because you got to think one of those, Blaze is going to play third. Devers is probably going to move to first.
Eventually, one of those guys is going to be a second baseman. Eventually, they'll find a second baseman.
Nick York is probably or Mayer would be the second baseman, I would think. Maybe one of them plays first, right? Because Devers DHs instead.
It's possible. You see, I'm with you in that type of thinking in terms of that they have a lot of middle infield talent coming up, and they do still have an overall long-term need at second base. Because I mean, it doesn't seem like Chavis is going to be that long-term answer at this point, and Bogarts is going to stick around hopefully for a while.
Devers and Bogarts are still relatively young, right?
Yeah, they're very young. So, I mean, they're not an issue. And, plus we do have, like you said, these 3 names that are really sort of coming up. And I'm of the mind that Jeter Downs was not exciting enough, I guess. And maybe that's just my biased thinking, I can't believe they traded Mookie Betts for this guy and didn't get, a Gavin Lux or a Dustin May or one of the flagship names that the Dodgers had in their farm. But I'm sort of thinking, it makes sense to, especially if they're going to make this run, and it seems like they're going to, and they really think they're going to get Chris Sale back. If Jeter Downs is what it takes to get a Max Scherzer or a Jose Barrios, I think I'm all about that, to be honest with you. I just don't know if
Duran, in my opinion.
Duran is a tougher guy to move, I think, just because he's been so hot this year. He's shown so much, but I'm not against that either. I'll have to be honest with you. I still think he could be a little bit of a sell high, but it's still the jury's out on him. I mean, we still don't know. He could be great. He could go down the same path as like an Ellsbury. I don't think we really know for sure. But the one thing we do know is that they're contending this year and they're ready to go. And I think the lack of pitching arms is going to bite them after Evaldi and Sale if he's healthy. And I think, the prospects of having a Barrios or a Max Scherzer, especially, but that's very enticing. But I don't know if it's Bloom's MO. I don't. It just doesn't seem like something he would do. He could surprise us, but it would surprise me. It would surprise me.
Yeah, it would surprise me too, just from his time with the Rays. They're not really known to make big splashes like that. So it'll be interesting. Jersey, do you think Trevor Story gets traded, or do you think the Rockies fumble the bag and just hold on to him until the end of the year and he becomes a free agent?
Looking at the Colorado Rockies and how they've managed their baseball team, you're looking at a team that just a couple of years ago, people were looking at and saying, hey, this is a team that can challenge not just for an NL's position, but let's look at them going towards the World Series. Now I'm looking at a team that's floundering. Here's a team, again, it would have been great to have a good team while you're hosting the All-Star competition. And your guy, Trevor Story, coming back, being a big name, you'd love this team to have been something. The news around here isn't even about the Rockies. The All-Star game was just here. And for those who don't know, living in the great state of Colorado, I can tell you about the news here. What they've been talking about since the day after the All-Star game was the Denver Broncos. So that lets you know what the fan base is concerned with around the Colorado Rockies.
Makes sense. Viggy, do you think Story is destined to just end up going to a different team via free agency?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's made it pretty clear that he's not going to re-sign with the Rockies. So it's really, as an organization, front office standpoint, you got to look at it as this. Either A, you trade him to a contender who values him as at least a rental, gives up at least one or two A, B level prospects for him because I think he's worth that much. Or you sit, you let him play out the season, you extend a qualifying offer to him in the offseason that he'll reject, obviously, and then you lose him for a draft pick for which team ever signs him ultimately. So it really is up to the Rockies. I mean, they have about a day and a half or so to decide as the deadline looms 4:00 on Friday. So we'll see. I mean, they could also trade him in August, of course, put him on the waiver claim. And if somebody picks him, they can trade him to there or just let him go. Or if he doesn't get claimed, then he can be traded through August 31st. So, there are options for the Rockies. I know they're trying to get the best deal they can, but they do have to make a decision soon. Some other guys that were traded, Tyler Anderson to Seattle. That was one. Rich Hill, right after the Rays acquired Nelson Cruz, gets dealt to the Mets. That was a little interesting to me. And then today, Eduardo Escobar taking his talents to Milwaukee. Milwaukee needed a bat pretty desperately, especially losing Christian Yelich, at least temporarily, to the COVID list. And then they just needed the bat anyway, especially in their infield. So he'll help for sure. That was their biggest thing. They have Hader in the bullpen. They have such a great rotation. So adding a bat in Escobar, who is a 240 hitter with 22 homers this year, so very solid for an awful Diamondbacks team. So we'll see what happens here with the next 36 hours, 40 hours or so here before the trade deadline.
Escobar was one of the hidden jewels of the trade deadline, I think. Very underrated talent. I believe he was an all-star. And as you said, 22 home runs, really did pop for second and third base eligible player. So
I could see him playing first there in Milwaukee.
He's that type of guy. He certainly could. I have no doubt about it. The Rich Hill trade I thought was funny. I don't think it's a glowing review of a guy who for a team to trade a guy when they're clearly trying to add talent to make a playoff run, and then they go and they trade Rich Hill. I think that says more about Rich Hill.
He's been a great NRFI bet this year.
Yeah,
time NRFI, NRFI.
He didn't look good in his debut. He did not look good in his debut.
He's been pretty good. So hopefully
he has been pretty good. He has been pretty good. But I think I saw his Mets debut. He gave up he went 5 innings. I don't think he had one strikeout, and I saw a stat that he did not generate a single whiff, not a single swinging strike the entire 5+ innings. So I don't know. Maybe that was just a rough outing, his debut. But I don't know. I just kind of thought it was interesting that a team in a tight division race trying to make a World Series run is offloading veteran arms.
Nothing surprises me nowadays. Moving on to the NFL. Ken, Daniel Jones, big season. This is definitely make or break. I think if he struggles this year, they look to move on from him next year. Do you think the Giants have put enough around him to make a run this year in the NFC East?
I actually think they've put enough around him that he really needs to show more than what he's shown the last 2 years. I think a lot of people are willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because of how disgusting the Giants have been and how terrible their O-line has been. And he got a lot of the benefit of the doubt for Saquon, I think, getting hurt as well. But now Saquon is back, and I think Saquon's probably ready to go. And I also think you brought in Kenny Golladay. You still have Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton, who are no jokes. You also have Evan Ingram. There is no shortage of talent around Daniel Jones, and I think aside from like a Sam Darnold, this is like one of the biggest make it or break it seasons for a quarterback, because they're going to be ready to move on if this doesn't go well. They have, do they have 2 first-round picks coming up next year? So they are in a prime position to make a splash for a top quarterback in the draft next year if Danny Dimes does not work out. However, I think if he can limit his turnovers, which have been a humongous problem for him, if he can limit his turnovers, there is sneaky top 10 upside here for fantasy purposes. And from what I've read, they are giving him a simplified playbook. Joe Judge has simplified the playbook. So we'll see if that's enough for him to overcome, what we've seen from him so far, which is frankly not very good. I think I think he's averaging under 3,000 yards per season so far in his 2 seasons, 17 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. That's just not good. That's really not good, especially for a guy that was drafted to be a franchise quarterback. And they've only won 8 games in 2 seasons, so that's a problem. And I think he's thrown something like 22 interceptions over his 27 total starts. So that's got to tighten up. All of that has to tighten up. I think he could, if the playbook is simplified, if the offensive line is better, and if Saquon is healthy. You also need Golladay to be Kenny Golladay of old, because I'm not sure Shepard and Slayton are enough. But they're certainly serviceable. So he can't do another one of these Daniel Jones seasons we've seen the last 2 years. That's unacceptable.
Right.
He's got to have a higher floor than that this year.
Danny Dimes is going to end up looking a whole lot like Sam Darnold. It has got to look this year. Okay, he's going to have to run that offense just like Sam Darnold's going to be running it primarily through Christian McCaffrey. Lots of short passes, lots of between the tight ends. That's exactly what Jones is going to have to do to make himself look good. You're right, make or break season for this guy. When you have a team that has those first round picks in their back pocket, you've got to understand that coming in as well. You got to understand the lights on you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, you're taking a look at a guy who unfortunately has had some bad circumstances, losing Saquon, like Ken mentioned, but their offensive line has not been good either. Getting sacked 45 times last year and 39 times in his rookie year. That's got to get better as well, but I think it can get better organically. They did, I believe, add some offensive line help in the offseason, but Saquon Barkley being healthy, I think, is one way to fortify that offensive line, get some stability there for Daniel Jones, not having to throw the ball 30 to 40 times. I mean, when you throw the ball that many times in the game, defenses key in on that. So they rush, they bring more guys, they blitz, and that hurts Daniel Jones. That hurts their offensive line. So being able to have a guy like Saquon in there, healthy for a full 17 now game season, I think is going to be huge for them. And then, of course, the addition of Kenny Golladay and should definitely help him, I think. So if he can get sacked less, run the ball more, and utilize Golladay and the weapons around him, I think he will have his best season.
Barkley makes this whole thing better. How do you reduce the amount of sacks your quarterback has? Why don't you get the ball out of his hands quickly? Get those short passes out. If you've got a quarterback who can only manage the outsides, if he's only got outside receivers, he's holding that ball that extra second, that leads to your offensive line looking way worse than it actually is. You're going to give up those sacks. So I agree with you completely. If he's getting the ball out quicker, we're going to see a different quarterback.
I would definitely agree that Barkley's the straw that stirs the drink, as they would say. There's no way that I think the Giants don't have a good season this year. I think with the additions they made, as long as Jones can be, I don't know, Mark Sanchez-esque when the Jets made the AFC championship 2 years in a row, and he can just manage the game well, minus the butt fumble, of course. But as long as he can be a game manager, I think there's enough pieces around in that offense to be able to make things work, because that defense isn't bad. They did some major upgrades. I think Joe Judge could possibly be the most successful Bill Belichick protege to come out of this camp. So it's interesting to see what happens, right?
I mean, if you're talking NFC East, wait a minute. I can't see how in a division where Dallas seems to be clearly the most talented on paper team and team that we're waiting to get that 10, 11 wins. That's the Dallas Cowboys this year, okay? The Washington football team, we're struggling with what they're going to do around quarterback. But if not for that, they're another team that challenges, okay? The Philadelphia Eagles now, with Jalen Hurts under center, I really like what they're doing. So you're really going to tell me that the Giants are better than those three teams?
No.
As far as I'm concerned, they might end up last in that division.
I totally agree on the Dallas call. I think they're the class of that division this year, and they're going to prove it.
And there's a segue there.
Class. I think the Redskins have a lot to say about that.
There's a segue there.
These are the three teams that are all going to do better than the Giants.
Biggie's trying to segue us very nicely.
I'm trying to segue because the next topic's about Dak Prescott and Dak Prescott and Joe Burrow, because they're two quarterbacks that had big-time season-ending injuries last year. What's the expectation for both of these guys, especially Dak, who right now has some sort of shoulder problems that could be potentially setting him back for the start of training camp?
You've got to expect that, though, from Dak, who hasn't thrown a ball in a while because of his compound fracture. I know, obviously, his arm wasn't affected, but he probably didn't spend a lot of the offseason throwing, I'd imagine. It'd probably be a lot more lower body rehab. So maybe he's just got a little bit of a tired arm, kind of like, a normal MLB pitcher would get via spring training. So it's to be expected. I mean, Garrett Gilbert's running with the first team, and I think if it was a much bigger issue, Dak wouldn't at least be on the field, He's at least being on the field for practice. If there was a much bigger issue there, I think we wouldn't see him at all. So I think, honestly, he'll be fine. I think he'll be ready to go week 1. Preseason's preseason. I think you'll see him probably get in game 3. And then, obviously, there's only 3 games this year in preseason. Is there 2?
There's actually was just a report out literally 2 minutes ago that he's going to miss a couple of weeks with that shoulder injury. So take that for what it's worth.
There you go. Weeks 1 and 2. And don't think I saw where you went with that one, Shane, but I'm thinking that it has a lot to do with him having a lower body injury. Okay, knowing a little bit about shoulder fatigue and things like that, working and managing around volleyball, that's the one thing that does wear that rotator out, is the repetitive going. And remember, he had no lower body. He had no base, okay? So it's possible he's throwing all hips, all shoulders, because his legs aren't stable, So he is like sitting in a sitting position throwing because he wants to make sure he gets back. That athlete mentality. You can work yourself into an injury by compensating when you're injured somewhere else.
Yep.
My other dynasty league, I have Dak Prescott as my QB1. So what is it with me in my dynasty leagues that I have Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott? I mean,
Andrew's the kiss of death.
I thought he was
it would be two great options, but man, I'm kind of sweating over here.
Yeah,
don't you dare think about picking up Mac Jones anywhere.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
oh boy. That is the ultimate segue here, Shane. It's my turn to host the Ask Around segment, and we'll get you in here a little bit as well, Jersey. But this is my turn to get on Ken and Shane here, and we're going to start off with that Mac Jones debate that you politely segued me into here. So we're going to debate some rookie quarterback and a sophomore quarterback here. And the rookie will be Mac Jones, and the sophomore would be Tua. And I think we all know where this is going here. Mac Jones going to Ken, and Shane is getting his boy Tua. We'll start out with my boy Ken with Mac Jones.
These are both Shane boys, by the way. So I want to be on the record that I am also supporting Shane. So whatever he says to try and slight Mac Jones should have a big fat asterisk next to it because he doesn't actually believe it. Now,
I'm a big Mac Jones guy.
Now, so a couple of quotes, okay? Because I know Shane's going to come at us with this quote that Tua threw this awesome 65-yard touchdown in practice. It was awesome. Albert Wilson caught it. It was the greatest thing. If you actually go and watch the video, he underthrew him. He totally underthrew him. And it was actually, I mistook it for a duck when it flew by. I thought it was like a seagull, but it was the football. So, and also Xavier Howard, I don't think was on the field either. So I just want to nip that little 65-yard thing in the bud right now. Whereas Mac Jones, I believe the reports out were that 5 of his completions were what they would say was a perfect throw, and that while he did make some rookie mistakes, he had the 5 best throws of the day amongst the Patriots quarterbacks. And the reports are already out that Stidham, see you later, he's out of here. He's already leapfrogged Stidham. He's right behind Cameron Newton, who's going to be feeling the heat coming up pretty soon here. And I'll admit, when Mac came out, I was skeptical. But he's making all the right reads. He's showing he's worthy of a first-round pick, and he's starting to make a little bit of a believer out of me. Mike Reese, who I'm sure you all are aware, he's a very reputable source, believes that the Patriots will be sending a big thank you note to the San Francisco 49ers this year for passing on Mac Jones. Kendrick Bourne, who will be catching some passes from him at some point, says he has the swag to him that he didn't know he had at first. And, that's really what I think it is about him. He has this motion, to be serious for a moment. His throwing motion is compact and it's smooth, and it's something that's got like repetition to it. It's easy for him to get into a groove, I think, and it's going to be something that I think goes a long way, especially in this offense, because he's going to be a successor to a guy that made a living off of doing exactly that, off of quick dink and dunk throws, methodically moving a ball downfield, and before you know it, they're in the red zone and they're kicking 3 at a minimum. And I think that's really where he could thrive. And I think, the fact of the matter is, we say it all the time, these quarterbacks, they could have all the talent in the world, but they need to be put in a position to also succeed with a good coaching staff. And you're putting them with the coaching staff that helped create the greatest of all time in McDaniels and Belichick. So I think you're going to be seeing things out of Mac Jones, assuming Cameron Newton, is the same Cameron Newton we've always seen. Because let's be real, Cam Newton has been an MVP. If he comes out and he acts like an MVP, that job is his. Assuming that what we have seen from Cam Newton is the new Cam Newton, I don't see any way Mac is not playing quarterback at some point this year. And I think when you see that, you're not going to be seeing what you saw with Tua last year, where they were pulling him from games for Ryan Fitzpatrick, where you're seeing him kind of just sort of look lost at times. And I think he even owned up to it to himself that he didn't even know the playbook his rookie year. Mac doesn't have that problem. Mac seems like he's polished. Mac seems like he knows the plays. Cameron Newton, we're on that type of relationship. I can call him Cameron. You can't call him Cameron Bagels. But yeah, no, I don't think Mac's going to have this problem that these other young quarterbacks have. I think he's in a position to succeed, and if he doesn't, it's on him. But, like I said, he's made a believer out of me. He looked ready to go today. He looked polished. They said that he had a red zone possession from inside the 5-yard line, and he went through his reads like a seasoned vet, is the words that I read. So that all to me looks like really good stuff, and I firmly believe that he is already, or if not already, very soon to surpass Tua in terms of his polishedness and NFL readiness. I'll let you go now, Shane.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right, so I'm gonna preface this debate to say I am not gonna do any bashing towards Mac Jones. I'm a big Mac Jones supporter. I've been a Mac Jones to New England supporter since last November. So when he got drafted by the Pats, I could have ran outside butt naked around my neighborhood. I was so excited.
I think you did. Didn't you send me a pic? No, I'm just kidding.
Of course, you would probably want those pictures, Viggy. But anyways, to Ken's point too, Johnny Smith is calling Mac Jones Maxonville because of his Jacksonville roots. So he's definitely gained support from the veterans, and you love to see that for a young guy. I think he's on the cusp of being a starter. But talking about Tua, ECBC only fans. Yeah, you're my number one subscriber, Bagels. But Tua, I just watched the replay just now of Tua throwing that 60-yard bomb. It most certainly wasn't a duck. It was in between 2 defenders. Probably not Xavier Howard, but it was in between 2 defenders. It was a great ball. It did have a little wobble to it. It wasn't a tight spiral, but it did have a little wobble to it. So I could get your idea that you might have thought it was a duck, but it was in between two defenders. It was a great catch. It wasn't that underthrown. I think it was a good ball. He rolled out to the left. And he rolled out to his left and threw another touchdown pass to Adam Shaheen that he was applauded for. All the fans were going nuts when he threw that touchdown pass in the red zone. And then he threw another 40-yard bomb to Jalen Waddle down the seam. So you're seeing progression. I think Tua is vastly underrated. Maybe not, I hype him up because I had to during that ask around against Viggy, and the fans thought that I won. Our listeners believed that I won. I got a ton of tweets in support that I actually won that debate against Andy. So Tua is going to be good, and I think Brian Flores is the perfect coach to have for him. You're not seeing a lot of bashing. You're not seeing him come out in the public because that's, he's a Bill Belichick disciple. He's not going to come out in the public and say that Tua needs to fix things. Yeah, Tua got pulled a little bit last year. He's a rookie. It happens. He's coming in this year as the cemented starter. I think we're going to see another good, solid year from Tua. Tua did have a good season last year, 1,800 yards passing, quite a few touchdowns, a couple rushing touchdowns. It should be interesting. I think you can give Ken the point on this because I love Mac and I'm okay with it.
Don't start with this.
But I think
the power out of Vic's
I honestly think that you're
actually the power is not going to be in my hands. But go ahead.
I've already given Ken the point. I gave Ken the point when he was talking on our little score sheet.
That's not your point to give. It's mine and Jersey's point to give. So Jersey, who are you giving the point to? After both debate, we give a point to whose argument was better. So I'll let you, as our esteemed guest, do that because I'm a little biased here.
Yeah, I was keeping track of the swings here. So let me get this straight about Mac Jones here. First of all, Mac Jones, we're saying he's got some great arm talent there. Is that what we got, Kembo? He beat out a third string quarterback who was obviously a third string quarterback, and Cameron Newton, who throws like Cameron, not like Cam. Okay, yeah. He throws like Cameron.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But
all right, look, Cam's a great athlete. Okay, he can get the ball there, but in terms of, are we talking about that 75, 80%? Yeah, we're talking that high accuracy there. So if you're coming in and telling me you're just more accurate than these two guys, okay, fine. Are you going to be able to run the offense like a Cam Newton can run the offense? Now I need to see that athletic ability. I know what I saw when, on draft day. I mean, I saw a guy who looked more like me going up there. Hey, I could still throw the ball, guys. Maybe okay, now let's give this Shane, my man. Now, are we really going to sit here and make Tua into, I know he's got that baseball arm. So what you saw there was more of a baseball throw. Okay. What I want a ball on a rope. Okay. I don't want pull. I don't need pull. I don't need pull. I don't need a quarterback lobbing those deep balls into my wide receivers. I need that thing to be on a rope a little bit more. So are we going to give him full credit for that? You said it yourself, kind of like, sort of, maybe. If it quacks like one. Do we have draws here? I mean, I'm doing all this Olympic soccer talk. Do we give draws here?
Look, let me say one more thing. With the jury's still out because Mac is still a rookie and he hasn't beat out Cam Newton yet. And that is probably with reason. That's probably what Belichick wants to do. He wants to keep this an open competition. But Tua went an entire rookie year without convincingly beating out NFL journeyman Ryan Fitzpatrick, who has made a career off of making some bad decisions. And he's also made a career out of spoiling current quarterbacks' careers. So true. I don't mind getting unseated by Fitz magic. You guys can sit there and have a bunch of people around a bar talking about how Ryan Fitzpatrick came in and played and took a job from them. So, that's not hey, join the club. All right. I'm not going to make that. But as far as Tua is concerned, I like Tua baseball arm. Give me a little bit more.
Mac Jones, I really can't go for you on that one. Kembo, I've got to go with Shane and give my point. That Shane gets the point.
It's not who you like better. It's who won the argument.
Well, I can't
Jersey
by the Mac Jones argument.
Didn't Shane just say that under Trump? I think Shane said that under Trump. This is the most controversial decision ever, by the way.
Oh, goodness.
This is probably
UFC judges.
Andrew's so
This is
upset.
probably the bigger this is a bigger
UFC
robbery
judge.
than Tua and Jalen Hurts.
This is perfect.
This is
Jersey,
not what I had in
actually wanna give
mind,
you a hug.
Jersey.
This is great.
Hey, I was going to give it a draw in the beginning, but I was forced to pick a side here. I couldn't do it.
This is great because Andy's
I
so
guess it's
upset
all
'cause he
about who
thought,
you like more.
he thought
and
this
what
was going to
can I
go to
say?
Ken. This is fantastic.
Yeah, really?
I guess my next one's going to
that's
be
two
Derek.
today.
My next one's going to be
Check
Derek
my
Henry
Venmo
versus
later. Goodness.
Tony Michelle.
All right. I'll have to live with it.
No, I'm sorry. There's some bias towards Mac Jones. Why? You had to know this.
I just
wanted
wanted Shane to lose. That's all. That's all I wanted.
He did lose. He didn't
Hey,
even
look,
put
when
up
you've
a-
got inside information that the others don't have,
He actually
you had to
spent
know where
half
this
his
was going.
time arguing my case for me, too.
That is true. That is true.
He
But
spent
we'll-
75% of this whole thing was about Mac Jones. He spent 25% talking about how
Maybe I
Tua
should
kind
do
of
the-
all
Maybe
good
I should
judges
have more.
make
Give
the
me
right
a little-
decision, guys.
give me a little
I'm going to
flair.
tell you why it was always going to go to Tua and not.
It was always
Mac
going to go to
Jones.
Tua. I think that's the problem.
That was it. I mean, I'm a
Let's
49ers
go.
fan, guys. I'm a 49ers fan. I love that New England took the guy. Take him, enjoy him. And I wasn't going to back him in this argument either. So as long as you didn't tell me Tua was going to Oakland to play for the A's, I was going to go with your argument.
Oh, Bagels voted for me too. Does that give me the win?
Bagels voted for you because he has a soft spot for you. That's why he gave
That
you the
is
break
true.
spot last week, too.
that is
Is that
true.
like those Lenders bagels? I like those New York bagels. You know the hard one you did.
Oh, New York bagels are the best. All right, let's
Are we
move on.
doing-
We
are
got
doing the
Yeah,
any non-QB.
let's do any non-QB. Then we'll move on. Yeah, let's do any non-QB, and you can join in on this too. This is an open debate. Any non-quarterback, offense or defense, if you're starting an NFL franchise, obviously the quarterback is the most important position, but any non-quarterback. Jersey, I'll give you the floor first, and then I'll end up making the decision here on the best argument. So Jersey, then we'll go Shane, then we'll go Ken, as in who you're picking non-quarterback to start a franchise with. Go ahead, Jersey.
Tough one. Is it really that tough? I know he's coming back from injury. Okay, we all saw what he did in his first year. We all watched him blow a tire and knew full well he was going to tear the league apart, rookie quarterback or not. The only thing holding back Saquon Barkley is going to be the fact that he's playing with the quarterback he's playing with. So if I had an opportunity to start a franchise with anybody, I'd take, the second best running back in the league. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, I get it. You're doing it now. I'm going to go with the youth. I'm going to go with the body that I've seen come back from this injury in Saquon Barkley.
I like it. I can go next if you want, Andy.
Yeah, go ahead, Shane.
So the non-QB that I'm going to go with, I'm going to stick with the running back theme, which I'm sure Ken's also going to go with. I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara of the New Orleans Saints. In a Christian McCaffrey type, type body, does the same kind of work, catches a lot of passes out of the backfield, can torch you up the middle. I think he can just do it all. In my opinion, he's a bit better than Christian McCaffrey. I think he's faster. I think there are more things you can do with him because he's got a bigger body. He can take a few more hits. I just love everything you can do with Alvin Kamara. He hasn't rushed for over 1,000 yards in his career yet, which is kind of shocking to me. But he's always consistently had over 700 yards receiving or more. So I think what he lacks in the 1,000-yard rushing department, he makes up in his receiving department. Just real quick, how many touchdowns he's had for a career? He's had 43 rushing touchdowns and 15 receiving touchdowns. So, I mean, he's got 58 touchdowns in 4 seasons, and he's been a Pro Bowler each season. So, and what's crazy about it is he only started 3 games in his rookie year, and he still rushed for 728 yards and 8 touchdowns and still had 81 receptions and 820 yards and 5 touchdowns. I honestly think if Reggie Bush came out of college now, he'd be doing what Alvin Kamara is doing. I think Reggie Bush came out too early. This, more eccentric passing offense wasn't really around yet. Now that it's around, I think Kamara is a pretty good comp to what Reggie Bush could be today. And I think we've just reached the cusp of what Kamara can do. I think we're going to see him explode this year because no Drew Brees. He's going to be the focal point of the offense. And I think Jameis Winston's going to surprise some people as well. So I'm all in on Alvin, and that's who I would start my franchise with.
I think we got to wait and see what Alvin's able to do without Drew Brees, because that's a Hall of Fame quarterback, before we're able to pick him above every other non-quarterback. I think you guys were both dancing around the true answer. Jersey mentioned it. I think the answer is Christian McCaffrey. I think he's 1 year older than Saquon. I think it's a 24 versus 25 comparison. So I'll still take that, because to me, I think CMC is pretty much the quarterback whenever he is on the field. Everything goes through him. He's the motor. And he's done it without quarterbacks. He's never really had a frontline quarterback, and he's still that type of guy. And, I think a lot of people, myself included, are kind of not totally as poo-poo on Sam Darnold as a lot of as maybe we should be, because of just what he might be able to do with such a profound talent behind him. And, to me, I think, just to put this into like a fantasy perspective, because that's how my mind tends to work. In his rookie year, he was the 9th running back in PPR. In 2018, he was the 2nd. His sophomore year, he was the number 2 running back. I think he trailed by less than a point in PPR leagues. Then, of course, 2019 was the historic year where he was probably one of the best running back years we've ever seen. And then last year, obviously, he got hurt. And in the games he played before his injury, he actually averaged more points per game from fantasy perspective than he did in 2019. So, in thinking about this from that type of dynasty perspective and just who can do the most with the ball in his hands, to me, that's CMC, and I'm gonna ride him. And I know he got hurt last year, but the running back game there's a lot of guys that are gonna have some injury history. From Saquon to Zeke to even, Dalvin Cook used to get injured quite a bit and has put that, I think, not totally behind him, but somewhat behind him. And my thing with Kamara, while he's great, you still have to see what he does without his Hall of Fame quarterback. So to me, I want to take the guy who I've seen play at that premium that but basically hasn't been matched yet. And he did it with lackluster quarterback play.
3 excellent choices, guys. I love the running back theme here. I think that was a great consideration. I like Barkley because I think he's kind of forgotten with all his injuries. I think he'll have a huge impact on the Giants this year. I like, obviously, Kamara. I'm kind of partial to Kamara. He won me fantasy championship last year, especially with that 6-touchdown game. So I think he'll be huge. I think he has to be huge for that Saints offense, especially without Drew Brees, whether Jameis plays or whatnot. I like the Reggie Bush comparison. Is that just because he played for the Saints before, or is that because of his skill set?
No, I think it's skill set. I feel like it's pretty similar to what Bush.
Fair enough. I mean, that's fine.
Like I said, if this offense if the theme was passing back when Reggie Bush came out in 2006, and it wasn't such a run-heavy, theme of run, 3 yards in a cloud of dust, I think Bush would have excelled much more than he did.
I think Bush was kind of put in a wrong opportune. Yeah, exactly. I think if Reggie Bush was in this era, I think he would be far superior than what he actually turned out to be. And I also love the Christian McCaffrey pick. Again, kind of goes behind the radar with the season-ending injury last year. But I'm kind of a sucker for stats. I got the most stats with Ken's argument. I'm really excited to see what he does with Darnold in this offense. I'm a huge Darnold fan, and I think he has a big-time season coming up, and I think McCaffrey has a lot to do with that. And McCaffrey's going to remind us why he's been the number 1 back in fantasy over the last 2+ years, as long as he stays healthy. So I am, by a smidgen, going with Christian McCaffrey with Ken.
Yeah. Good job.
I don't think there's a bad choice.
McCaffrey, the Stanford guy. Good guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
I don't think it was a bad choice in the bunch, really.
Great arguments on all three sides.
Before we go ahead and end tonight, Ken, I really need to get to you and about the collectible corner, about ECBC. We had 2 huge polls this past week.
3 technically, I guess,
in the franchise of ECBC so far.
Yeah, three big hits over the last, I'd say, 10 days, maybe, give or take. It was awesome. So obviously everybody knows by now I run this with a buddy of mine, Liam, and he actually pulled he kind of lost his mind a little bit because he pulled a Mike Trout auto out of Topps Chrome, which I actually do still have right here. He pulled the Mike Trout auto out of Topps Chrome for our good buddy Jay Catch, who actually flew out to the National without it. What an ass clown. And then this past week, I pulled Brian Hayes auto out of Gypsy Queen, and this was the one that actually Bagels took a video of me and posted it to embarrass me because I had such a ridiculous reaction to it. I was very excited by this man on cardboard, but what can I say? It got me pumped up. I was ready to go. I was having a good time. And then after that, we pulled, or maybe that was before. I think Brian Hayes was the third because we also pulled an auto of the GOAT himself, the best quarterback in the AFC East already, Mac Jones. We pulled the Mac Jones auto. It did not go to Shane. Thank God. I'm now extremely happy it didn't go to Shane because I'm very salty.
If there's any Bills fans in here, just please right now.
I'm so sad.
What?
I said I'm so sad.
You were very sad about it, but I've heard that maybe you found a replacement, so that's good. I'm glad you were able to find one for a good price. But yeah, it was really awesome to pull the Mac Jones auto. Definitely wasn't what we expected, but we were hoping to get one of the 5 quarterbacks, so that was really great. And it kind of rounded out a really nice week. So we're hoping to figure out what's next. Everybody and their mother is in Chicago for the National this week, or this weekend, which actually the festivities I think kicked off tonight. Is that right, Shane?
Yeah, tonight. Yeah.
So that's where everybody is. Not myself, because I had other obligations. Maybe next year I'm going to find myself getting there. I don't know, Shane. Are you going to join me
in Atlantic City?
Oh yeah.
I'm definitely in.
It's like 2 months before my wedding, so that'll be a good time. Maybe 1 month before. So.
I think the next thing could be Gold Standard, right? Because First Off the Line came out today.
Oh yes, yeah, it did. I think it actually comes out today or tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow.
Oh yeah, tomorrow.
Those are pro unis, actually, pro uniforms on the cards. So exciting, to say the least. And certified got pushed back to the end of August, unfortunately. So a little bit of a slight delay on that. That's really the big one that we're waiting for in the collectible world, I would say.
Yeah, but overall, I think ECBC had a successful week. Pulled some big cards, got some new members in. If you're interested in cards, it's Ken. You got the little card to show everyone at the end of the show.
Sure.
Yes, the
card. Scan it. Scan that QR code and get yourself in our Discord group if you'd love to, come and hang out with a good community of guys who are just trying to find their footing in the hobby collectible world. Shane's in there, Viggy's in there. It's a good group of dudes.
I guess you pulled Keaton, one of our viewers this week. Prism Refractor Bow rookie card. Maybe that was Liam.
That was Liam. Liam pulled him that out of Topps Chrome, I believe. Yep. That was in the same box as the Trout auto, so that was a hot box for sure. Definitely made our money back on that one. So
tons of good stuff going on. If you get a chance, you want to talk sports, come to ECBC's Discord. We're always talking sports. We're always, it's like guy talk, locker room talk. We're always ragging on each other. We're always showing each other what we're buying, what we're investing in. It's a family there. Ken built a great community. So if you're interested, check it out. Jersey, let everyone know where we can find you.
Make sure you're following me on Twitter at Jersey Haas. Don't forget your hashtag, make you some. Hashtag make you some. All right. Make sure you're following along for any live picks. Live picks are definitely specialty, so make sure you're following around for that, okay? And you'll get a parlay card or two, some exclusive ones on the show, just keeping it here, but always can find me online. Thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. Viggy, let us know where we can find you, brother.
In the winner's circle tonight, baby. The Yerfie, and the Nerfie. Bam! Cash money, baby. The Nerfie under the new Viggy chart is 5-0. And now
he broke it.
We are on fire, ladies and gentlemen. Is 5-0? Is that a fire trend? Jersey, what do you think? Is that
torching? I like it.
Yeah, man, we are on fire right now. So if you finally, it's been a bit having to really revamp things, but man, we are killing it right now. So this is the best time to hop on the Viggy Bets bandwagon. Come follow at Viggy Bets on Twitter. Maybe Jersey Haas, maybe we'll come up with some kind of collab here soon.
Hey.
Let's do it, my man. This is,
you can put a card together, no doubt.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You
get your Yerfie friends together. I get my BTTS and Homer friends together. We parlay it up.
That's right, man. We can combine to hit something, man. I feel it. So yeah, at Viggy Bets on Twitter. Let's get it.
Ken, let everyone know where we can find you, brother.
Oh, as you saw on that card just a second ago, you can scan that QR code, or you can find me right there at Kenbo J Slice. That's my personal account. And then at EC Breaking Co. EC Breaking CO is the handle of our official card group. So if that's probably where you'll find me most. But please, by all means, if you have any questions for me or want to dabble with some of the hobby, that's where you'll find me, meandering around the Twitter machine.
Awesome. And you can find me at Ask Us Sports, or you can find me on my personal account at S_Miller_27. Ask me anything you want. Talk to me about cards. Talk to me about sports. Talk to me about anything. I'm game. But that was it for us tonight. Remember, next week, Andy makes his official commitment to an EPL team. Arsenal, Tottenham, Leicester City, and what was the other one?
Liverpool.
I know Bagels wants you to pick Liverpool, so we'll see. Maybe he'll buy some hats, and we'll do a whole commitment video. That might be something kind of fun.
That tax deductible, by the way.
We'll have some national talk for you guys next week because we'll have results from the national. And we'll just have some fun. And next week, I got a commitment from Bagels, our award-winning listener, to come on and join us. So that should be some fun. He's starting a hashtag for us. If you're watching live, you'll be able to see it.
Oh boy!
But anyways, everyone have a great night. love you guys.
Nothing but love.